Alexander Afenyo Markin, the member of parliament for Winneba, Alexander Afenyo Markin. There's a reason why I'm paying tribute to this guy, because when we all attended parliament that day, those of us who were in Accra, we didn't know what had happened elsewhere. And this is on the 9th of the 7th of January 2021. So we attended parliament to see the inauguration and the election of the speaker. In fact, I was graciously invited to be on City FM. I thank them for that invitation. And I was on City TV that night, speaking with Richard Sky and others. And I was saying that Professor Michael Quay is going to be elected speaker, because we were aware of the 137, 138, 137, 137, and plus the 138. And I was of the view that the MPP will know that they have to cast 138 votes. Somehow they didn't know, but I thought they would know. So they didn't cast 138 votes to elect Speaker Michael Quay, which has cost them significantly. So I'm sure next time they will know. However, Afenyo Markin, when he started speaking that day, said that one member of parliament sitting in the chamber ought not to be here. So I was taken aback. I remember I sat up there in the press gallery with all the journalists. So I was asking the Ghana News Agency guy who sat in front of me, but what is he talking about? And he said, wait, let's listen. And then I was asking the Joy FM people, what's Afenyo talking about? Everybody said, let's listen. He said, there's no speaker at the time, so the clerk is presiding. And he says to the clerk that there's somebody who doesn't have to be here. Jechi Kwesin, a high court in Central Region, has ruled against him. And the preliminary matter has been found against him, that at the time that he filed his nomination, he was not qualified to do so under the Constitution because he has citizenship issues. Afenyo Markin made that point. And then he sent the documents to the clerk and convinced the clerk that this was the position. Now, here the clerk, going back to that night, responding to Afenyo Markin's interjection in Parliament on the 9th of 7th January, ahead of the election of the speaker. This is what the clerk said, and it generated confusion that triggered throughout the whole night and ended up in the morning with the election of Alban Sumano Kingsford Bagbin. Later on, we'll talk about the legal implications of the MP when he conducted the vote or not. That's an interesting matter. But here, this clerk now, Clerk of Parliament, responding to our friend Afenyo.
It is hereby ordered that James Jechi Kwesin, first respondent hearing, is hereby restrained from holding himself out as a member of Parliament elect. Member of Parliament elect for the Assin North Constituency within the Central Region of the Republic of Ghana, and further presenting himself to be sworn in as a Member of Parliament elect. As such, until the final determination of the petition filed against him by the applicant here, given under my hand and seal of the High Court of Cape Coast, 6th day of January 2021.
Thank you, Afenyo. It's taken us 2 years to come to the place where we should have been. Nothing against Jechi Kwesin. He's a nice guy, comes from Canada, goes through the process. But we know that he's not the first victim of this. Adom-Otchere actually even was jailed. And I'm sure no one is going to jail Jechi Kwesin. I'm sure they will not push that agenda. But in the case of Adom-Otchere, who is MPP, who was Member of Parliament for Boku, he was actually jailed for filing his nomination at the time he ought to have known that he had a British citizenship. He was removed from Parliament and he was jailed. And he died. So Jechi Kwesin will not be the first. He has a far better outcome, because as a nation, we have learned not to do certain things the way we have to do it. So everybody knew that Jechi Kwesin's continued presence in Parliament was a problem. We could have conducted this by-election that we are now talking about a long time ago, but it is just the appreciation of some members, the way in which they appreciated the matter, the way in which they saw it, the angles with which they looked at the ruling of the clerk. If they have all looked at it the same way, or the way that the Supreme Court has now looked at it, we would have not been in all that situation, because this was a single event that triggered the tempest of the night that gave Ghana's parliament a bad name around the world for the first time.